Wow. Not gonna lie, the ending of season 4 always gets me emotional. It's really messed up, isn't it? I'm your cult boyfriend. We're talking about season 4 of Veronica Mars, and I'm wearing my Pretty in Pink t-shirt, which should signal to you that this is the last season, the last available piece of media that we have for Veronica Mars. I don't think it's the end of Veronica Mars. I think we'll be seeing her in some form, in some way, at some point. I don't think that we're done with Neptune. Not really. Never say never when it comes to Veronica. That's something that every marshmallow needs to learn. Happily learn. Season 4. I think season 4 is a masterful season. I think it's fascinating for a lot of different reasons. It's a bit of a touchy subject for fans of the show because it's a little unmerciful and part of it feels unfair. And they did some extraordinarily daring things near the end of the run, the 8 episode Hulu revival. So Veronica Mars season 4 is a character study of Veronica. And I think it's an expertly crafted character study because we're able to lock on to this person, this girl who she's my hero. I'm sure she's a lot of your heroes and a lot of your crushes, like she means a lot to us. And we're able to deconstruct her and figure out if she could ever be well. Veronica Mars started off in 2004 as this post 9/11, post Columbine, deeply cynical look at the teen dream and how that fits with a nihilistic view of justice. So Veronica was always this extremely guarded character, this character who was angry constantly, this character who was deeply tortured in her own way, and a pessimist through and through. And then fast forward well into the new millennium, and that kind of antisocial identity that made Veronica Mars strong in the first place, which made her resourceful in some wildly extreme contexts, her personality it now conflicts directly with the modern ethos, with the ultra modern ethos. She's this girl who has been backed into a corner, and just like a dog being backed into a corner, it will bite you wherever it can, and it's constantly in that fight mindset. And it's like those damaged, toxic traits within Veronica are being punished by the ultra modern world, which is a lot more sensitive, and I think tries to be a lot more sincere. It's just that people like Veronica Mars, people like myself, we're very quick to judge and determine the artificial qualities of those around us, the hypocritical ones, those unforgivably hypocritical components of our communities. Like, we are very quick to jump the gun and burn some bridges. I've burned like a million bridges. I am the king of burning bridges, okay? I've burned way more bridges than you ever had. It's not even a contest. People like Veronica and I, and possibly you, were brought up to be that guarded, to be that kind of cynical about the dynamics of our interpersonal relationships. Be cynical about the human condition as a whole, as it stands, changed by 9/11 and Columbine. Like, it was almost predetermined that we'd end up cynical and nihilistic with a perpetual chip on our shoulders. And Veronica seems to be punished within this ultra modern ethos that has just gotten over it, right? Has just moved past it. And she seems to be a relic of a bygone angst And I think that's what makes this show, this season, so powerful because she's still full of angst. As she tells Maddie, she's still angry. She never got over it. It's about a bygone teen angst. That kind of makes you truthful. So many parts of Veronica are deconstructed here. Her relationship with Logan is beautifully deconstructed. She clearly loves Logan. Logan and her father are the two most important people in her entire life. But she's far more attracted to Logan when he acts out in violent, random ways. She loves those violent outbursts. She loves season 1 and 2 Logan. She loves when Logan is unpredictable. She is like it erotically charges her and she just can't help herself and she fucking loves it. And that is something she really has to confront because Logan has matured. Logan has become a more sophisticated archetype, and Logan wants to marry her. Logan wants to have children with her. Logan respects her. He wants to marry her because he respects her, and he wants to have children with her that would inherit those traits. I love Logan in this season because Logan was able to move on with a new sincerity. There's still that angst inside of him, still that fire that Veronica is unwilling to let go of. There's still that fire within Logan, but like through therapy, through the armed forces, through Veronica, through dreams that he must possess of a future shared with her, he has become more mature, more responsible, more accountable, healthier in every conceivable way. And Veronica secretly loathes him for that. But it's a lot of self projection, right? Because Veronica is projecting onto Logan those things about herself that she believes she'll never be able to reconcile. Um, she's projecting a decent amount of self-hatred onto Logan for Logan's capacity to change and Veronica's inability to do the same thing. I believe Veronica sees that sort of change as weakness because it's not necessarily change in her eyes. I think she sees Logan as becoming tamed by the status quo, domesticated by the complacency of Neptune in a large way, and Veronica will never allow that to ever happen to her. Veronica has a protege this season named Maddie, and I loved Maddie. Maddie's father was killed in the first of several bombings featured in this season. This season is about trying to find who they call the Mad Bomber of Neptune, but I'm sorry, Patton, but that title has already been taken. I haven't forgotten about the psychotic boy wonder who blew up a bus in an airplane. I haven't forgot about Cassidy. Cassidy is still, I think, the greatest villain that Veronica ever faced. But season 4 really solidifies the idea that Rob Thomas, he views villains as like humiliated. He views villains not as things to even be momentarily glorified in their moments of revelations. They don't get to revel in their despicable deeds. Rob Thomas wants to embarrass these villains. Like Patton Oswalt is so good in this season that it makes me hate him. It makes me not like him anymore. He is so good in this season. Patton Oswalt plays the bomber. He is the bomber. Well, he and Big Dick Casablancas are the bombers, but they're like unrelated to each other. Patton picks up where Big Dick left off, but not for the same motivations. Interestingly enough, Big Dick's motivations I would argue that in a weird, morbid, and poetic sort of way, Cassidy actually did get revenge upon his father, because it's the Phoenix Land Trust and the fact that he was using that company, which was invented and founded by his dead psychotic son, that like he was using the Phoenix Land Trust to assume different roles within the shell corporations that the Phoenix Land Trust had um, possessed to create a monopoly, a real estate monopoly, and drive Neptune itself into this ultra rich center that is cruel and classist and plastic and sanitized of all originality, of all actual humanity, a playground for the rich, wealthy, and beautiful. Um, Big Dick used the Phoenix Land Trust in order to secure his real estate monopoly. The Phoenix Land Trust is what gets him exposed by Maddie, and then Veronica hears about this information. The Phoenix Land Trust was owned by Cassidy, and I like to think that in a poetic and morbid sort of fashion, it's the idea that Big Dick was trying to bastardize and use this invention of a son that he never cared for or recognized as a masculine individual or as a person who even possessed individual qualities worth investing time within. I think that Cassidy ended up getting his father killed because his father couldn't help himself around the $1 million cookie jar, right? While Big Dick was in prison, which is something that Cassidy basically got him arrested. The events of season two, right? Not basically, he exposed him. He got his father arrested. That was part of his revenge. I just think the revenge he wasn't alive to see was in a large way, I believe he's responsible for his father getting beheaded by a samurai sword by two cartel hitmen. And I love that he's beheaded with the samurai sword, with like this token of absurd wealth and immaturity. Maddie sees that symbol, that cultural symbol inside of his mansion, the samurai sword, and says, "Wow, man child," and he's beheaded by it. And there are Freudian concepts to this beheading as well that I do love, especially if you're like me and you're relating it to in a symbolic relational form to Cassidy Casablancas, which I think you should do because it makes it a lot more interesting. But yeah, I love that he's being beheaded within this mansion, that this huge token of wealth by like the commodification of a cultural symbol of both wealth and masculine immaturity. Uh, by two cartel hitmen who are definitely products of the the underbelly of the crime world, places that Big Dick Casablancas is dedicated to erasing from the makeup of Neptune, California. So that's like really cool. And Big Dick's right hand man was played by J.K. Simmons. He played Clyde in this season, and he has some wonderful scenes with Keith. I do like their relationship a lot. It's a really fun friendship that offers a lot of characterization for the both of them. If you're like me and you watched Oz when you were younger, you won't be able to see J.K. Simmons in a prison setting without thinking, oh man, wow, remember when he played a Nazi who like was literally the devil for like 6 years? That's the weirdest thing about J.K. Simmons becoming famous was my exposure to him was mentally scarring when he played Schillinger on Oz. But he's great. He's never not great. J.K. Simmons is a delight on Veronica Mars. And now to finally get back to Patton Oswalt, Ebner, playing the true Mad Bomber in a large way. He doesn't have an economic motive. He has extremely selfish and narcissistic ones. He is a bit of a psychopath. He is a little bit psychotic, but he's also just an embarrassing little cretin, um, a pitiful looking little hobbit, isn't he? Uh, Part of what makes the final minutes of this show so difficult is that he doesn't seem like a worthy enough opponent for Veronica. But I think that's kind of Rob Thomas's point. You could be outwitted and outsmarted. You could be outmaneuvered by a piece of shit hobbit looking like Pizza Man. He kills Logan Eccles. He blows him up. And I think that right there is why most fans resent this season. And honestly, it's partly why I think it's so perfect. Because a large part of Veronica Mars has always been about tragedy. And what makes tragedy so tragic is the fact that they're not. impossible to divert. The most affecting sort of tragedy are the ones that you see coming, and you can see this coming. And Veronica sees this coming, but Veronica's just a few seconds too late, and she loses the man she was just married to. And we lose Logan Ackles. We lose an incredible character, a character who went through the most growth, more growth than anyone else on the whole show has gone through. And he was punished for it by wet dreams that Veronica would have, these erotic fantasies that Veronica would have about Leo, by Veronica's indignant indifference to his maturity, by Veronica's refusal to view Logan as something that has grown. Veronica sees herself as stuck within this angst-riddled stasis, this stasis of a teenage sort of anger, which is the best sort of anger because it's not only liberating, but it is necessary to remind you who your villains, like who your enemies are. She needs to keep in that mindset because that's how she gets her job done. It's a beautiful deconstruction of Veronica because we're doing a character study of her toxic traits, and she has several of them. And I think that she is really hurtful to Logan in this season. But we have to remember that it's all like self-projection, self-hatred projected onto Logan, that every neglectful thing she does to Logan, that every hurtful, mean, or hypercritical thing that she does to Logan is something that she's doing to herself tenfold, um, in a more complicated and less direct sort of way. Logan just wanted the best for Veronica. Logan just wanted Veronica. Logan wanted Veronica in his life because it's because of Veronica that he has changed into this um, true man that he is near the end of his life. It's because of Veronica. Veronica's dedicated to this stasis. Veronica is determined to stay in this mindset of total and complete angst because the villains of her life, they saw to it that she can't grow. As if she grows, she becomes contrived. As she grows, she becomes complacent and boring. And Veronica Mars can't allow that to happen to herself. And Veronica sees a sort of domestica within the relationship that Logan wants to have with Veronica, which is, you know, continence, bloodshed, foreverness. Hell, and you see this stuff like telegraphed from the first, like pantomimed ceaselessly from the very first. She first kisses Logan after he beats the shit out of Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And the most romantic moment on all of Veronica Mars that like I think most fans would agree is that speech about like our I thought our love was gonna span, continents and bloodshed. This kind of promise of a romance that is never stable, but is constantly has a lethal determination, and less of a romantic one. Or maybe it becomes romantic because of its lethal qualities. Like that's always been what has attracted Veronica in the first place. But Veronica tries to grow this season and she marries him and she grows a little bit, and then boom, you're too late. Your arc came too late. And postmodern masterpieces like Rob Thomas's Veronica Mars has no sympathy for meta narratives, no sympathy for arcs that complete 1 second too late. And Logan dies, and Veronica leaves Neptune because Veronica lost. Veronica lost this season. That great postmodern art has no time for lost time. Veronica Mars failed. She caught the pizza guy, sure. But she lost Neptune. Dick Casablancas won Neptune in a huge way. Big Dick Casablancas, not little Dick Casablancas. It is really nice seeing Ryan Hansen return as Dick, being a complete moron, and it's lovely seeing Wallace. Mac isn't in this season, but I didn't really like her in the film, so it's no big loss personally. Uh, I'm fine without Mac. We even see Parker. Like Veronica had the temptation of Leo, and Leo has only gotten more and more handsome, let's be real. And Logan had to see Parker. And Logan had to realize why he wanted to marry Veronica Mars. And it's the same reason why I would say that Veronica is my hero. Because I respect her. Because he respects her. Because things that would normally completely crush and defeat a person, Veronica always gets up from. And that's true to a certain extent, but she carries that pain with her. She carries her defeats, and even her victories are always sprinkled with an unforgiving amount of defeat. And this is her greatest defeat, right? She had an oversight. She had one lapse in judgment. She should have remembered the backpack, but she didn't. She should have known about the bomb, but she couldn't. She was busy fulfilling an arc, getting married with Logan. And Neptune shows no mercy, and she has to leave it for good. So I really enjoyed this season. I thought season 4 was an excellent character study of Veronica Mars. I think that fans have a problem with it because it is very cynical. But I'm not sure if fans remember that the first season was very cynical too. She's just gotten more cynical over time and she hasn't changed. And I don't blame her for not changing, but I'm very proud of her for changing near the end. It's cynical, and yeah, there's a large part that's like, I can't believe this stupid fucking Hobbit pizza guy blew up this special forces Marine Logan who we love. He doesn't feel worthy, but no one would feel worthy, right? And we don't want to add worthiness to a villain. Like Rob Thomas definitely doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to glorify his villains in any way. Um, the people who hurt other people like that, who destroy families like that, they aren't worth sensationalizing or liking in any huge way. Aaron Eccles was a psychotic man-child. Cassidy Casablancas was a paranoid and insufferable loser. And Epner, Patton Oswalt in Veronica Mars season 4, was a dork with delusions of grandeur who learned from the internet how to build a bomb. That's all these ugly, ugly archetypes amount to, in a large way. I think symbolically within this postmodern context, Epner didn't kill Logan. Veronica's refusal to change. Veronica refused change, refused security, refused the concept of happily ever after with Logan. She refused it all and she lost it all. She said yes way too late. And I think Veronica knows that, and that's what drives her out of Neptune. Now, I don't think we're done with Veronica. I think we'll be seeing her again. I would have actually loved to see maybe like a spin-off of like Maddie learning from Keith, seeing Veronica every once in a while. I want to see I want to see these characters once more, and maybe once more after that. And I don't think we're done. But losing Logan, That's the craziest thing that Rob Thomas could have done. And he did it. And in my opinion, he pulled it off because that's what makes me cry, hearing his voiceover at the end. The reasons why he would marry Veronica Mars. They're the same reasons why we all have crushes on her or why we want to be like her, why she's our hero. That makes me cry. She's driving out of Neptune, and I feel like we're going with her. Maybe we can all finally be out of that angst, out of that unending angst that was left over as this traumatic reminder of our youth. Maybe we can be done with that trauma. Because if you keep the trauma of your youth inside of you forever, then it will only lead to a catastrophe in your adult life that maybe you can't walk away from, and maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't walk away from it. Maybe it'll be that pulverizing and that complete and total. Maybe it'll be the holocaust of the self, like the loss of Logan was to Veronica. I think this is an incredible season. I think it's masterful. I think that it's saying so much, and I love it to death. It's a beautiful character study of Veronica Mars, an excellent deconstruction, and one of the best pieces of straightforward postmodern art that I have ever seen. I think Veronica Mars is incredible, and I love it. Season 4 is unreasonably good because it does unreasonable things unreasonably well. A postmodern masterpiece for sure. Season 4 of Veronica Mars. Yeah, it's perfect television. And Kristen Bell deserves all the awards in the world. She went to a lot of dark places, a lot of very funny places, a lot of sardonic ones, and a lot of knowing ones, sensitive areas explored by Kristen Bell, one of the most gifted actors of her generation. Give her all the awards. She brought Veronica Mars to life in a way that compelled me to obviously get her name tattooed on my body twice. I love this character to death, and I like that this character was put up under a microscope, and we were able to take her apart and see exactly where the break was, see exactly what wasn't working, and see if we could fix it. And some things just are unfixable, and some things you don't fix in time. And that's the tragedy of Veronica Mars. It always has been, and it always will be. And I like that. We get to go on this journey of examination, of investigating Veronica Mars together as adults, growing up with this show as teens, because we can gaze inside of ourselves in that same way. Through a prism of nostalgia, we can figure out what's wrong with us, each and every one of us, and we can do what we can and hope that it's enough and hope that we're in time. Growing up in your 30s, it's not some boring act. It's a series of explosions within your soul. Thank you for watching my video about season 4 of Veronica Mars. I got some True Detective vibes from this season, especially from the new intro. Chrissy Hind, I believe, provides the new rendition of "We Used to Be Friends," which I think is really cool. And like from that intro, yeah, you get some True Detective vibes, and it's possible that Rob Thomas saw the first or second season of True Detective and went, "I would love to place Veronica in this context and actually get to investigate her." Who's Veronica going to investigate this time? Well, it's her. It's herself. Rob Thomas is a genius, and Veronica Mars season 4 is perfect. And that's all. Thank you for watching. I've been your cult boyfriend. Subscribe, comment, share this video, and stick around. You never know what you're gonna get with me.